everyone, my name is Lauren and welcome back to my library. Today I'm here to bring you my January wrap up. This month has gone way better than I expected to. I have actually lowered my reading goals for the year. So I usually set it at about 100. This year I've set it at 80 because I don't want to really push myself and I don't want to be overwhelmed by the amount of books I have to read. I just want to kind of enjoy my reading time. And this month I ended up reading 7 books, which I'm a little bit chuffed about. The first half of this month was a little bit slower than what I would have liked, but I ended up picking it up really fast. So yeah, I ended up finishing 7 books. But before we get into the books that I read this month, if you could like this video, it would really help me out with the algorithm, and if you could subscribe, I would love for you to join this chaotic channel. If you also want to leave a comment down below on the favourite books that you read this month, I would love to hear from you. So the first book that I read in January is The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. This one is an adult romance contemporary, and I just am really digging these at the moment, and I really want to pick them up and read them all the time. So I ended up reading this one. Essentially this one is about our main character Nicole gets proposed to by her boyfriend of 6 months at a baseball game, and she says no. And then Carlos and his sister are there watching it happen and unfold, and they kind of feel sorry for her, and she's getting bombarded with people and like the cameras and stuff, so they kind of help her out and get her out of there. I think I mainly enjoyed this one because it was a little bit of long distance, which was interesting. I don't really see a lot of adult romance books having long distance relationships in them, but it wasn't so much of a relationship either. It was kind of like, this is just like a chill thing, we're just gonna like be friends with benefits kind of thing, that ends up blossoming into something more, which I love. So I really enjoyed this one. I ended up reading this one 4 stars, and I just want to read all of the adult romance right now. And the second book I read was The Square Root of Summer. This one kind of put me in a reading slump because it just was not what I was expecting it to be. I just thought this was a young adult contemporary, but then it also has a little bit of magical realism in there and a little bit of time travel and parallel universes or something. It was just not what I thought it was going to be, and it kind of put me off. I don't think that the parallel universe time travel thing was really necessary for this book, but I ended up rating this one 2 stars because it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I'm probably going to end up unhauling this book as well because I just don't see myself rereading it. I didn't enjoy it. I don't really want it on my shelves. The third book, 3 Dark Crowns by Kendira Blake. I ended up DNFing this one at 60% because I just couldn't do it. I actually thought going into this book that it was about these 3 twins who were like out to kill each other to get the crown. So they all have magic, and I thought you just had to fight to the death to win the crown. That's what I thought it was going to be, but there was no fighting. And the 60% that I read, the sisters hadn't even seen each other, and it was all a lot of political intrigue and romance that I don't think was necessary for this book. Like, they're trying to kill each other. I don't think that they should be falling in love. Like, it just wasn't what I wanted. And I'm sure if I knew that that's what it was going into it, I probably would have enjoyed it, but I kind of just wanted to read people killing each other for a crown. So it just wasn't what I wanted to get out of it. So I ended up DNFing this one, and I will probably unhaul the entire series because I don't think I want to continue. So the next book I ended up reading was a book I borrowed from my library. I'm not supposed to be reading any books that I actually don't own, but I read the first book of this series at the end of last year, and I rated it 5 stars, so I knew I wanted to keep reading. So I ended up reading A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I'm so glad I did because this was so good. Like, also very steamy. Not what I was really expecting from it. I think that, well, given the first book I was expecting it, but as a whole I wasn't expecting that from this series, and I don't know why, because I don't know, it's just not something I expected. But I really enjoyed the relationship between the 2 main characters, and the ending, I think I kind of predicted it a little bit, and I kind of knew that that was what was going to happen, but it was still really interesting to me, and I'm really excited for the third one. So like, just, this is like the first kind of books that I've read by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I kind of want to go back and reread them all, but I don't own them, and I need to focus on my TBR, so I am just going to not do that this year unless I buy them. But I'm trying to be on a book buying ban. Irrelevant. So the next one I read after that one is Twit Cute by Emma Lord. I started this ages ago, like forever ago, and I think I got about 50 pages in and I just put it down, and then I didn't pick it back up. But I finally decided to pick it up this month, and I'm so glad I did, and I finished it because this was freaking adorable, and I'm just so glad I read it. So the premise of this is that there are two teenagers going to school, and their parents both own restaurants as well, and they have like this kind of Twitter feud, and they end up being friends and hanging out with each other and falling in love, and it was just so good. And it was just like, it was really enjoyable, and it was lighthearted and funny and a little bit dramatic, which I'm not going to say no to. And it was just, I just really enjoyed the relationship between the two main characters, and it was just a lot of baking and cooking, and just it was just what I needed. It also reminds me a lot of To All the Boys I Loved Before, just because of the baking aspect and stuff like that. It was just like super cute, so I'm glad I picked this one up. I think I ended up rating this one 4 stars as well. And then I finally tried to continue on with my Cassandra Clare reading, because I have not read many Cassandra Clare books, but I own almost all of them. So I ended up reading Clockwork Prince, and this book did not go the way I thought it was going to go. I read the first one a really long time ago, so I had to read like a wrap-up review thing, so I knew what actually happened. But there wasn't, for the size of this book, there wasn't a lot of stuff happening, to be honest. It was a lot of, it was more to do with like relationships and stuff, rather than like them fighting demons and trying to save lives and things like that. I expected that a lot more than what I got, so that was very interesting. But I also did not expect the love triangle to go the way it went. I'm pretty sure almost everyone has probably read this book by now, other than me. But yeah, I obviously expected Will and Tess to get together, and that is not what happened. But I'm reading the third book right now, and I feel like it's going to swap. So that's just my prediction for right now. Otherwise, I did end up rating this one 3 stars. I honestly didn't mind it. It was quite enjoyable. The only thing is that when I listened to the audiobook, and whoever the male narrator was had like a very quiet voice, and I couldn't really understand him, so I had to turn it up really loud. And then when the girl came in, it was like way too loud, so I was like, that was like my only pet peeve, which has nothing to do with the book. So this one. And the last one I read for this month is Save the Date by Morgan Matson. I ended up rating this one 2 stars also, I think. I enjoyed the start of it, and like the family dynamics is really good in this one, but the amount of things that went wrong, it was so unrealistic and really annoying, and I don't think that many things needed to be wrong. It was just kind of getting to the point where it was ridiculous, and it was just really annoying me, and I was just like, just stop, like, just stop. I also didn't understand why her sister was getting married, but this girl that was in high school was doing everything to get the wedding sorted, even though she had bridesmaids and other family members and stuff. She kind of just like, took it on herself to be like, I have to fix everything on my own, and didn't really seek a lot of help from other people. She just kind of just did it all herself, and then that was some of the reasons why things went wrong, is because she just didn't ask for help. And so that was a little bit annoying. Romance in here was like, I could have seen it coming from a mile away. And I think that the main issue I had with this, which is nothing to do with the book, was just that it was meant for younger readers. I think that if I had have been like 16, 15, 14, I probably would have liked this a lot more, but being the age I am now, it just wasn't for me, I don't think. So I'm probably gonna also unhold this one. So I just, yeah, I think the end redeemed itself a little bit, and I enjoyed it more once the wedding was over and like everything stopped going wrong. So it redeemed itself a little bit, but it just wasn't enough for me to really enjoy what I read. So those are the books that I read for this month. it was a bit of a mixed month, to be honest. I'm gonna unhaul 3 of them, keep 3 of them basically, physical ones that I owned. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!